Well, good morning, Cam.
Greetings, Mitchell.
I just realized as I said good morning, it is 12:39 in the afternoon, actually. So I've been in my studio all morning working on stuff, and I got lost track of time. So
it's all good.
I will eat when I get done. Perfect. So
oh yeah, lunch. I should probably do that too.
It'd be like lunchtime, but whatever. We could eat on the show. Everybody loves listening to people munch on the show.
Yummy.
All right. So a funny thing has happened in the NFL. All eyes are on the NFC North.
As they should be.
People are saying the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers are favorites in the NFL to do well this year. They're not the only ones, of course, but I know there's been a lot of talk the last couple of games that I've watched of how these three teams are really, people are looking at them as possible contenders for the playoffs, which is crazy because that's 3 out of the 4 teams in the NFC North. Poor Bears. I don't think the Bears are doing bad either. But
no, I mean they're 3-2.
Yep. The Packers are 3-2. How are the Lions doing?
3-1.
3-1.
We had a bye this week.
Okay. And are the
freaking Minnesota's 5-0?
5-0. I was going to ask if they were still undefeated. So
yeah, and Sam Darnold is playing like I think people thought he would when he first came to the NFL. Turns out when you're on a decent team with a good coach mm-hmm. and one of the best wide receivers in the league, Yeah. But good for him because he just had a really rough time in New York and in Carolina. So
yeah, I think it should pain me to say this. It really doesn't, because I could be excited for the Vikings if they have a good season. Partially because they're a little bit like the Lions in that respect, is that they just keep like they seem like contenders, but they don't seem like they ever break through. So I mean, if they broke through this year, I think I'd be excited for them, even as a Packer fan. So.
Yeah, well, I of course have high hopes for the Lions this year. Made it to the NFC Championship game last year.
Yeah.
Should have made it to the Super Bowl, but absolutely epic collapse in the second half against the 49ers.
Yeah.
But
I was rooting for him. I was pulling for him. So I'm a big Packer fan, but I also really appreciate all the teams in the NFC North. So
is Jordan Love back healthy? He played Sunday, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
I think he's played the last 2 games. So yeah, they looked real good against the Rams. So I mean, not that it's hard to look good against the Rams, but
well, they're
struggling.
Yeah, they're 1-4, but they got a bunch of injuries too.
Yeah.
San Francisco's 2-3. Jeez. Yeah, it sure does look like the NFC spot in the Super Bowl is going to come down to an NFC North team unless these other teams get rolling. It's still too early. There was only 5 games in.
Yeah. We're prognosticating at this point. So
indeed, but it's nice to be off to a good start than the inverse.
Well, your Tigers are tied 1-1 and we're against the Guardians right now in the playoffs.
Yeah, I still refuse to call them the Guardians. I think it's one of the stupidest names in all of sports. Well, okay, but before we even get to that, we have to get to the point that like the Tigers finished the season like 31-13 or something obscene like that. Mm-hmm. They had like at that point in the season they were like a 2% chance of making the playoffs, and so they make the wild card. They sweep the Astros 2-0. And then the first game against the Guardians, they got blasted. I think they lost like 9-0 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But then the second game, they hit a 3-run homer in the top of the 9th off of like one of the league's best closers, who hadn't. I don't think he'd blown a save since like May or something like that. It was crazy. So yeah, they're 1-1 in the ALDS, and that's wild.
Yeah.
There's only one person on the entire Tigers roster I've heard of.
Yeah.
Javi Baez.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one. Literally, I went through the roster because I haven't watched baseball in years.
Yeah.
But I went through the roster and I was like, I literally only know one of these dudes. I've never heard of any of the other ones.
Well, having a 3-run home run hit on your closer is kind of how the the Brewers season ended.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were up 2-0, I think, going into the top of the ninth, and they brought Devin Williams in to close the game out, and he had an atrocious inning. I felt so bad for him because he just, he's been solid all year closing out games, and he got a couple guys on base, then dude hits a home run, takes the lead. They put one more up after that, so the game ended 4-2, and it just that was like a gut punch. So
yeah, that's not a fun way to end a season at all.
No, and they came back in the second. Or the Mets won the first game, and then the Brewers came back in the second game and beat them. And in very similar fashion, it was a 3-run home run in I think the bottom of the 8th, and then went on to win. And then in the third game, we just the top of the 9th, we just got hammered. We took that 2-0 lead all the way into the top of the 9th, and yeah, that was rough. Yeah. But we should be beating the Phillies right now. I'm just saying. But anyway, things happen. I think the Mets kind of are doing the same thing that the Tigers are doing, is that they're just hot coming into the playoffs. And It's not about what team's the best in baseball. It's what team's the hottest. And they come in hot and they win. So that's really been the key, because you can have a really rough first half of the season, and as long as you have a good enough record to get into the playoffs, if you're hot, you can go places. And I think the Brewers came in, I wouldn't say they were super hot, but they came in, doing pretty well. I had a lot of hope that they were going to come in and win some games, and it just they just ran into the Mets and some bad luck, I think, too. So I know the first game they didn't look that good, and I think it's because the Brewers it seems like maybe the big lights were a little much for them. They're a really young team with not a lot of playoff experience, and so the lights might have been a little hot and a little bright, and it might have been a little rough for them in the first game. But I thought they came back about midway through the second game, started looking real good, and I had a lot of hope that they were gonna win the third game, because they were starting to play like themselves again, and just got outplayed. So. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, baseball can be a stressful game. If you're really committed to it. It's just man, you play 162 games, whatever it is, and you have one bad inning, right? And it costs you, right? That's just
Yep. All right. Well, we didn't have a lot to talk about. You and I were talking before the show as different show ideas or things that we could talk about on the show. And I don't know what to talk about today. So we thought we'd go back to an old standby. And those of you who do podcasts might know about pod decks. Originally, they came out with physical cards that you could do, but now they have an app. And so we're going to ask some questions, hopefully generate some good conversation, and have a little fun today. So, you game?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about before we do that? Anything? Otherwise we can save it for another show if it's not.
No, I think I want to save my things reminders revisit for another episode, because I'm still collecting my thoughts and opinions on it.
Okay. It's a little teaser for the next episode.
Yeah, all you task management app nerds, get ready. It's coming.
Yeah, and I've talked about my move to Todoist, and I can share my thoughts on that too. But before we do that, we'll do that in the next episode. But first, we're gonna play some pod decks. All right, let me get the app open because for some reason I lost it here. I lost it because I was looking up stuff on as far as what was going on in baseball, because since the Brewers got knocked out, I haven't really been paying attention. Like a true Brewers fan, there's only one team there's only two teams in a game, and that's our team and their team. So, right? Anyway. Well, I'm digging in. This one we've done before, this deck. We'll do a few questions from this deck, and if we generate some good conversation, we'll keep working this deck. Otherwise, I might flip over to a different one. But this is the Techie deck. So let's take a look at the first question. First off, what is your favorite app?
What is my favorite app?
Favorite app. Doesn't have to be on the iPhone or the iPad, and it doesn't necessarily have to be one.
What's my favorite app?
I mean, I'll just throw Carrot Weather out there right now because that app is awesome.
Shortcuts is definitely up there for me. For sure. I've been getting back into that too recently. And just what you're able to do with it is so fun. Like I have tweaked Federico's contextually aware system so that my action button will do different things in different apps based on what app I'm using, which is super fun. But yeah, so Shortcuts is definitely up there. And then I would say probably Spotify would be up there as well.
Spotify?
Really good music discovery. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify if you'd like.
That is true. Yep.
You know, yeah. So I switched to Spotify from Apple Music probably late spring, maybe. Just because I hadn't tried it in years, you know, and everyone always raved about like its playlists and its curation and its end of the year stuff. And I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot. Because I went from paying, I had like the big Apple One bundle, you know, that had like music. I was like, well, I'm really, if I get Spotify, then all I really need out of that is the iCloud storage.
Right.
So I just like, I'll just go down to iCloud storage, and it's less money a month because I wasn't using Apple Fitness or Apple Arcade really, you know, or Apple News, or really Apple TV Plus. So yeah, I made the switch, and I really enjoy it. It's a good little music app.
All right. I would say that there's a couple of apps. I think I mentioned Carrot Weather. That's a long-standing favorite app on the show here. Mm-hmm. Notion has been a mainstay for me. It just works the way my brain works. And I just love, I love just being able to collect a bunch of information in there. I take all my notes for my classes in there. I take notes for work in there. It's just such a thorough spot to just throw everything. You know, I got a wish list in there that I use there's a link in the share sheet, or there's an extension in the share sheet for that. So I can throw stuff into my wish list. And it's just, it's a really, really nice spot. Just a second brain for me to throw everything in there. So, there is an app that I've been using really heavily, for class lately, because we have 3 books that we're reading for class right now. I'm in my biblical counseling training. We're doing, marriage and family counseling right now. And I have 3 books that we're reading right now. That 2 of the books I can get on Kindle, and one of the books I can't get anywhere but print. And if you've listened to the show long enough, you know that I am not a read it in print guy. I can't explain to you what happens in my brain. So here's the thing. When I sit down and read a book, I realize that there's two people in my brain. There's the grown adult person that's being responsible, and then there's that 5-year-old that just keeps wanting to do something else. And so when I sit down and read a book, that I fight that 5-year-old. And so it takes me 2-3 times as long to read a chapter in a book than it should. So
Yeah.
So for me to go to like a digital platform with a screen reader, or best case scenario, Audible has the audiobook of the book that I'm reading. So then I can at least have the audio playing and be reading along, or best case scenario, they use WhisperSync in the Kindle. So it'll literally read with you and highlight the words as it's going through. And that's the best case scenario. But with a lot of the books that we're reading for class, I don't run into that very often where I can do both.
Yeah.
So there's an app that I've been using recently that bridges the gap for me. Now, I used Speechify for a while. That's the popular one that I think a lot of people know about, that does this, where you can scan stuff in and it'll read it to you. And I think that's a really good app, but it's kind of pricey. And from what I remember, it doesn't have a monthly plan, and I could be wrong about that, but I think it only offers a yearly plan, or at least it did when I was using it before. But there's another app called Natural Reader that I've been using, and this app is awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. It works really well. I have a Cesar Shine book scanner that I use for scanning in all my books into like a PDF format. And then I upload those to Natural Reader, and the AI voices in Natural Reader feel really natural when they're reading. It just sounds right when it's reading it to you. And it allows you to follow the book. You can either look at the scanned pages from the book in there, and it'll highlight where it's reading, or it'll also it'll also take the OCR, and you can put that up on the screen and allow that to, or follow that too, if you want to. It gives you some options there. But I actually loved it so much that the one book, Intimate Allies, that we're reading for class, does not have a Kindle version or a Audible version of it. So I have to scan the pages in each page individually using my book scanner, which makes it convenient. I just scan the chapters that I need for the week that I'm doing it. So it's not sitting down and doing the whole book. But the other two books that I'm reading, there's Shepherding a Child's Heart by Ted Tripp, and Childproof by Julie Lowe. These two books, both on parenting. These have Kindle versions that I could download, and I love the Natural Reader so much that I pull these up on my Kindle, or the Kindle app on my iPad Mini, and I scan them all in through my book scanner, and then upload those to Natural Reader. And Natural Reader just makes it a much more pleasant experience. And then all my books are in one place. And so, if you're like me, this is a really good option for being able to have the books read to you and be able to follow along in the books. And it just makes it a much nicer experience. So I wouldn't call it necessarily...
I've got it pulled up on my iPad.
Yeah, it's not necessarily my favorite app of all time, but right now it is serving a utility that I love, and it's working really well. And it sounds great.
There you go.
Yeah, so if I pull up Natural Reader, I'll let you listen. This is the default voice. This is the reason you pay for this app, and it is expensive. It's $18.99 a month to subscribe to this app. But I only use this app for the time that I'm in the class, and then I'll cancel the subscription. And if I need it for the next class, then I'll resubscribe. But if I go into, I'm not going to. Actually, I haven't uploaded the new ones yet. But if I scan back here,
marriages grow gory when each spouse. Marriages grow glory when each spouse invites the other to become more like Jesus Christ. We are to shape the still unformed beauty of each other's soul to reveal God's character more fully.
What
When
speed
I
is
shape
that?
my wife, my goal is for her to become a more glorious woman.
That's about
When my wife
1.5.
shapes me, her goal is for me to
Okay.
be a more glorious man. We are distinct and unique, and our Christ-likeness will reveal itself in ways consistent with being made in the image of God, male and female.
So there's occasionally you do run into the issue where the word is split between two lines, and it doesn't really do well with that. So it'll try to pronounce what's on the first line and then pronounce what's on the second line separately. So reading along kind of fills in a lot of those gaps. So I don't just listen to it, but 95% it works great. You know, it reads everything the way you want it to. So I highly recommend it.
Very cool.
All right. Is that it for our apps?
I mean, I'll just say Obsidian and leave it at that.
Okay. Perfect.
I've talked enough about it that I don't need to rehash all that. It is to me what Notion is to you, right? And I love that we can have those sorts of apps that work the way that we want them to or expect them to, and that we each have really solid options. And there's a bunch of other options out there too. But yeah, so there's that.
All right. So the next question, we got to do a little soul searching, a little introspection. How addicted to your phone are you?
More than I want to admit.
I might agree with that.
Yeah, it's just so convenient.
Well, the real difficulty is there's so many good utility. I'm not sure how to say that correctly, but there's so many good ways of using it throughout the day. Like right now, I have pod decks up on it. It was sitting on the desk before that when I was doing other things, like I'm not using it for anything. I get up in the morning and I play my Wordle, and I will check my to-do list. I'll play some, podcasts while I'm getting ready in the morning. I use it for work. I'll play some games on it through the day. I think that there's moments where I'll grab the phone to do something and like I have no real plan on what I'm doing. Those are the times that worry me. But I think, I don't know that I'm as addicted as some, but I think that that there's kind of a like habitual thing to like, oh, I don't have anything going on right now. What about, and then you open something up, or maybe like somebody says something about something that you might want to buy, and suddenly you're on Amazon searching for that item and looking at prices and maybe adding it to a wish list, or worse, buying it right away. So, or you have just a stray thought and you're like, oh, I wonder what that costs or whatever. The trouble is when you're doom scrolling Instagram or Facebook or any other social network. I think that's where you'd start to get concerned. So, and I'm doing a lot less of that now than I used to. But how about you, Cam?
Oh, I mean, I use it all the time. My calendar. I check my calendar all the time. The weather, my tasks. I play a lot of New York Times games, Wordle among them. I have a very, 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 very long crossword streak going right now. Taking pictures, looking at pictures. Like sometimes me and my daughter will just lay down and we'll just look at videos of her when she was like, 1 or 2, and she thinks it's so funny that she used to talk that way, or that her hair, whatever, she was missing teeth, and like I took a bunch of silly pictures with like Snapchat filters of like me and her like switching faces, or stuff like that. And so like I get a lot of really good positive things out of that device. Yeah. But to your point, it's when you're, just mindlessly doing something, whether that's, Instagram or, playing a stupid game or whatever. But yeah, I don't do as much mindless stuff on it as I think I used to. Like, I only have Instagram on there. I don't have Facebook. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Twitter. I don't, like, none of that stuff is on my phone. And I probably check Instagram maybe like once a day, maybe. So I don't feel too bad about my phone usage, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I apologize. I was listening, but my wife came home for lunch because she works right across the street from us. So she was stopping in to say hi, and she says hi.
Hello, Jamie.
So she said she'd listen to this later. So. All right. So how has technology impacted education? I would say we could probably turn this more personal for us. Like how do we, and we've talked a little bit about how we use like Obsidian and Notion for note taking and stuff like that. But is there any other areas that you see education being impacted by technology?
Yeah. I mean, my kid's is in second grade. And she has a school issued Chromebook. And it's, you know, it's a laptop, but it's also touchscreen. And just the way that, you know, she's learning like music on her computer, and learning to play music and understand it that way. And then, you know, she can watch stories, so she's learning to read that way. Or, I mean, she's in second grade, she knows how to read, but she has learned that she knows what a password is. Like, she knows her password and she has it memorized. Like, their education is fully technological now. She even has like a smart board in the room, you know, that can either project stuff onto it or also be interacted with. Like, it is not what it was like when I was in second grade,
right?
Where we had chalkboards, you know, and pencils, and, you know, I don't even think, I'm trying to think, second grade for me would have been 1993. So I don't even think the teacher had a computer in the room.
Yeah.
Man. Anyways, yeah, so I just, seeing it through my kids' experience, it's so much different than what my experience was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Like, they even take their tests on the computers. In Illinois, they call them their iReady diagnostic tests, and they take one at the beginning of the year, one in the middle, and one at the end. So you can see at the beginning of the year, you know, what you're good at, what you struggle with, and then your progress throughout. But they just take them on the computer.
Yeah.
Like, she's just so used to it. Yeah.
You know how they did that when I was in school?
Scantrons?
Pretty much. Just poking out holes in a sheet, or you fill it in with a pencil and make sure that you fill the whole thing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let it be known that I was nice and did not say carving rock with chisel.
That's true. We might have done some of that too. I don't know, but we didn't have. I was part of the computer club in junior high, and I'd forgotten about that. But I actually I found my. I don't know where it is right now. It's somewhere in a box somewhere. But I had my computer club pin. And it was sponsored by Apple. So it was actually a little Apple logo on a little pin with the computer club on it. And we learned how to use, I think it was the Apple IIe, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. Yeah, this has been in the late 80s. But it was one of the smaller ones. It was a black and white screen. I don't think it had color on it. I don't remember if it did or not. But when we got to high school, then it was the black and green, the green text on the black screens. We used to play a lot of Oregon Trail. I think those were Macs too. I don't recall. But anyway, we didn't have in elementary school. I didn't have any computers in school. No. This was early 80s. So it would have probably been about 82, 83. So yeah, I think computers were still really expensive at that point, the ones that were available. So I would say probably one of the biggest things that's been affected by education, and probably COVID, would be all the abilities to do the live streaming. Like, you're taking your schooling through Zoom, which I do on Monday nights. Or if you're looking at like School Now, At least up in Wisconsin up here, if they have a snow day, they'll do classes online, so they don't miss the day. Or there's some days that they'll give an option for online class versus in-person class. So yeah, there's some of that going on up here too. So it's good. Like there's a lot of stuff they're doing now that they didn't used to do.
Yeah, they do not do that in my daughter's school district. And so school went like an extra week long this year because of all the snow days they had to make up.
Yeah. Well, they had some snow days that they had to make up here too because the teachers couldn't get into class or they weren't set up and ready for it. So, but there were one of the ladies I worked with at my last job, their kids would ever so often they would be able to plan far enough ahead for a snowstorm that they would make arrangements for class to be on Zoom. So,
yeah, it's definitely a huge difference.
All right, here's a question for you. I'm be interested to see what your answer would be. What could never be replaced by technology, and why not?
What could never be replaced by technology? Our souls. Well, I mean, I say that a little tongue in cheek, but I think of like the things that make us innately human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our desire for love and relationship, our appreciation of beauty, our ability to express ourselves through, word or song or art or, whatever. And this gets kind of into the conversation about like generative art versus, real art.
Right.
And we use generative art for our podcast artwork.
Right.
Because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's then getting into the idea like technology can't replace what I can contribute, and whether that's, me playing music or loving my daughter or, even this podcast, like only you and I can make this show.
Right.
No other combination, and so I think it's just that sort of that deeper level of what makes us alive, yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of things that we do virtually even now that, I think friendship, as much as Facebook would like to say, oh, here's all your friends. It's not the same as, getting together with people and being physically with people. We were designed to be with people, not just read whatever they want us to read on a website, so
yeah.
I mean, even Zoom, you could argue that, I always appreciate our time together. I have another friend that we do a weekly call. I do a weekly call with him, just to maintain that relationship. But there's something about being there in person and, sharing a meal and enjoying that time together that is just different, So, I think of I've talked a lot about how with the Vision Pro, to have an app where you could go travel and go different places and see different things. Like, I don't think that would ever replace traveling to a place and being in that space. But it would be a virtual way to do it, to appreciate it on a less expensive level, if that makes sense. So
is it less expensive though? Is it?
So if I had a Vision Pro and I had an app that would let me to go to Scotland and go to Italy and go to different places, I think eventually, yes, it would be cheaper.
Yeah, eventually, yes. Not an infinite time scale, right?
Right. So I think it would be 2 or 3 locations, and I would already have saved money.
I know. I was being a little turd.
I know.
Couldn't resist.
But again, like the why not is it's just, I don't think there's just something different about being in person, as opposed to being virtually with people. So.
Agreed.
What electronic brand do you trust the most?
I don't know if trust is a weird word there.
Yeah, it is. And
Do
I think
trust the most.
I think we could frame this question a little bit differently if we wanted to.
I think by default it has to be Apple, right? Because all of my photos and videos are on their service. All of my documents are stored in iCloud, right?
Right.
So I think the default answer is just based on where my stuff is stored. It would be Apple.
Yeah, and I think part of the answer to this question needs to be about security and privacy.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of inherent in the question. So if I was going to say, do I trust Apple to own an iPhone, or do I trust Google to buy a Pixel phone from them? I don't think that Google's that awful privacy company that they used to be, but I still don't trust them as much as I would trust Apple with my private stuff. Not that I would hand you my phone and let you look through anything. There's probably some embarrassing pictures on there, but nothing weird. So,
I think the other one worth mentioning for me is ExpressVPN.
Mm-hmm.
I am pretty much always connected to their VPN.
Yeah.
My phone 100% of the time, in my computer, most of the time. And it's nice to know that, if I'm on a public Wi-Fi network, people can't access my computer because I'm on a different IP address, and that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's nice knowing that my computer and my phone they're mine.
Mm-hmm.
And snoopy people can't be snooping on my stuff.
Yeah.
And creepy websites get blocked, and all that sort of stuff. It's good.
Yeah, I've kind of leaned into Apple's private relay, and I don't know that there's a ton of difference between the two, but
I'll be honest, I completely forgot they had that.
Yeah. Well, I subscribe to the smaller of the two Apple One bundles, so it comes with all the Apple or the iCloud Plus stuff. So I've kind of leaned into that as opposed to it doesn't give you as many features as ExpressVPN does, where like I can on the ExpressVPN you can move to different servers around the world and use it that way.
Yeah,
if
you can
want
totally
to.
spoof your location.
Yeah. If I really wanted to play poker for money, I could use a server in New Jersey, but I did try that at one point, but decided against it. I'm not that good a poker player, so I'm pretty good with play money. Let's put it that way. Not good with real money. I'm going through a few questions here because some of these are dumb. Kind of already answered that one. So overall, do computers save you time or waste more of your time?
I mean, I wouldn't be using them if they were wasting my time.
I think I would agree with you.
I can't think of a time where I go to my computer and think, God, this sucks. Like, I wish there was a better tool. It's like, no, my computer's awesome. And I use it when I need to use it. And when I don't, I don't.
I would say back when I ran Windows, I was on the verge of that. Yeah. Because it felt like for the longest time, I was fixing the machine more than I was using it. So. And I realize that's not everybody's experience with Windows, but that was my experience. And part of the reason I went to the Mac, because my experience with Windows was I would fire up my Windows machine and then I would have to dodge a couple of problems and then, and then I would actually be able to get something done on it. Where I would come to the Mac and it was just like I turned it on and I went right into the work that I was working on. It worked better at the time, and now I just like it more overall. But if it's wasting my time, it's based on choices I'm making, not the computer. All right. You're stranded on a desert island. What technology would you want to be sure you have? So one piece of technology that you can take with you on a desert island.
A satellite phone so I can get off the island.
Smart. So iPhone would probably work for that now. So
yeah, I guess that new
can,
satellite SOS stuff, whatever. Yeah.
So
I was going to say air conditioning, and then I realized, no, I want off the island. So
yeah.
What about you?
I would agree with that. I just want to get off the island. Because any technology that I have is the battery is eventually going to die. And then I won't have that technology anymore. How smart is your home?
I would say fairly.
Yeah.
Siri controls. Oh, I'm not talking to you. Shh. the lady in the Ahoy telephone.
Yeah.
Controls lights in every room except for the kitchen. And that's just because I haven't put those lights in there.
Yeah.
I have them. I just haven't used them. And then I have a HomePod Mini that we use to, control the lights, or I use my phone or whatever. I don't have any smart locks. I rent, so I can't be, changing tons of hardware. So yeah, really it's just lights, and then like I have Sonos speakers throughout the house, so I can control those as well smartly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's controlling lights, it's controlling the TVs, and it's controlling, any audio. But I don't have any, locks or, curtains that are automated or stuff like that. I do have a couple NFC tags around the house that I can use on my phone to, like, one's by the trash can. So if I throw something out, I can just tap it and be like, oh, I need to buy this next time at the store because we're out of it. That sort of stuff. And I have one by the door when I leave that I tap and it just shuts the whole house down. Anything that's on, it just shuts off, except for, of course, the kitchen light, because that one's not smart. But yeah, nothing like super fun. No thermostats. I do have 2 cameras.
Yeah.
One facing the front, one facing the back, but no thermostats, no keys, nothing like that. What about you?
I've got lights in my studio, lights in the bedroom, bulbs in the living room. Everything else all the rest of the bulbs in the house are regular bulbs. But we do have a smart thermostat. I've got the Ecobee thermostat, and I've liked that a lot. Like right now, I've got a sensor in my studio that lets the Ecobee know that not only what the temperature and humidity and everything is in this room, but that there's somebody in here. So it can smartly say, okay, well, if there's nobody in the rest of the house, I'm going to prioritize that room as what I prioritize for the heat or the cooling. So it's real smart.
That's clever.
That way.
I didn't realize it could do that.
Yeah. And then I have different comfort settings. So at night, it prioritizes the bedroom for heating and cooling, which in the summer when it's really hot out can be a little rough because you walk downstairs and it's like a meat locker down there because it's closer to the furnace. But it doesn't care because it's not about what the temperature is downstairs. It's about what the temperature is up here. So There was something else too. I do have several cameras around the house. I've got one in our office, one in the living room, one in the kitchen, and then there's one right behind me up on one of the shelves up here to shoot towards my desk. So it's shooting the back of my head right now. But I had an extra one, so I threw it in here. So that's really what it comes down to. But so other than that, like, it's not super smart beyond that, but we keep the cameras around the house for keeping an eye on the cats when we're not home.
Nice.
Yep. All right, let's try a different deck that's not tech related. Well, it is. This deck might be terrible. Oh, nope. First question was terrible, so I'm going to move on. It was the ghost hunting deck. I thought maybe it would be fun to talk about something like that, but the first question was not appropriate for the two of us. So it wasn't weird. It was just like asking us a question that neither one of us probably could answer. All right, so I just went into one on video games. So the first question in here is, do violent games cause behavior problems?
I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. Do I feel more violent after playing Fortnite for the last 6 years? Not at all.
No. To me, it gets my aggression out. So I'm not violent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the right person to ask. I don't think it does, but
So I'm not sure.
I also think that's a hard question. I think that's a hard question to make a blanket answer to, though, because maybe for some people it does, and maybe for others it doesn't. I don't know.
So there's a question here. Do you own stock in Pop-Tarts or Hot Pockets? But I would rephrase this question as, would you prefer Pop-Tarts or a Hot Pocket?
I mean, if I have to choose a Pop-Tart.
I'm down with Pop-Tart.
Yeah. Diarrhea pockets.
Have you ever witnessed someone rage out because they lost?
Oh, rage quit? Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen it. I've heard it many times.
All right, so the tough question is, have you done it?
Yes, not in Fortnite though.
Yeah.
In NCAA football back in the day, I would rage quit all the time because it was just obvious the computer was cheating. It would just, it was because I was in college, so this would have been like, 2005, 2006, 2007. The sports video games back then were not very good. You could easily game them, right? And when the computer decided you were not winning the game, it was just like the guy would be running backwards and then he would just catch the ball over his head and intercept it. Like, no, you can't do that. You see, even now I'm getting a little triggered. Like, he wouldn't even turn to the ball. He would just, it would just like go through his head and he would just intercept it. And it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Or like he wouldn't even look and he would jump 4 feet in the air and intercept the ball that was clearly out of it. It's just like, okay. And that's when you're just like, PlayStation 2 off. Yep. Like, you're done. That's right. PlayStation 2, folks. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I've rage quit before. I've thrown controllers before. I think the only time I recall somebody rage quitting a game was my dad. Him and I used to play Madden together when I was younger. And I remember him getting up one point and he's like, "You don't even play fair." And he tossed the controller down and walked away. Well, he was upset because on third down I chose a running play and his defense, he was overthinking his defense and was like, "Oh, he's gonna throw it." And so I ran a running play and got the first down. Actually, I think I ended up scoring. I think it was like a 70 or 80 yard run to the end zone. And he just threw the controller down. And he's like, "You don't even play fair." He's like, "I'm leaving. I'm done." I was like, "Dad, it worked, right?" Yep. He's like, "Fair. I'm done though." What's a really popular game that everyone loves but you don't?
Oh, Minecraft. I've tried on multiple occasions to get into Minecraft, even as recently as like this summer.
Yeah,
playing it on my Switch, and I just can't. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I enjoy Minecraft, and part of it was because I actually I played online with some guys for a while and learned how much fun it can be. And I think really the fun is really in building a bunch of stuff, but it only has so much. There's only so much you can do with it. One of the guys that I played with online actually went through and completed all of the accomplishments on the Xbox, because there was a whole bunch of accomplishments that you could. The last one, or there was two that he needed help with, and we helped him with the last two. And one of them was he needed to build a railway that was so long. And so he had collected all the materials to do it. He just needed help building it. And so we built it out, and then we all like ran or played it. Like we would ride it. And then the last one was we needed to defeat the Ender Dragon. And we went in and defeated the Ender Dragon together. So it was a good time. But I don't know if there's a game that I hate. I mean, there's hard games that I just don't play. But and hate's a strong word.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Minecraft. It's just not for me. So I don't play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything. If you could have one power from any video game character, what would it be?
Video game character?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think that any Star Wars game has a Jedi in it that has the ability to move things with the Force. And
yeah, holy cow!
In a heartbeat, I would be like, okay, when I'm sitting on the couch and my drink is across the other side of the room, I'm not getting up. I'm just reaching out for it.
Yeah, how are the Jedis all not extremely fat? That's right. Yeah, it's probably got to be the Force or exceedingly rich like Iron Man. And that's smart.
Well, that would be fair.
Yes, Batman, Iron Man.
Is there a character out there that makes a lot of money effortlessly? That would be for me.
Scrooge McDuck.
When you were growing up, did you subscribe to Nintendo Power?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it was a magazine.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I've never even heard of it.
I never subscribed to it, but I would definitely, when my parents would go to the grocery store, I'd go sit and read it at the magazine stand.
Nice.
That's where I was most times when my parents were grocery shopping, because I'd just go sit over and buy the magazines and read magazines. Let's see. Do you still play the classics? NES, Sega, N64, anything like that?
Yeah, so recently I've been playing Mario Golf on my Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the N64. So I don't know if that qualifies as classic, but I have gone and I've showed my daughter Super Mario Brothers 1 and 2, and the Mario Golf. She gets very frustrated. Like I won't let her play Super Mario Brothers because she gets so mad. And it's like, no, we can play Mario Party. We can play Mario Kart, like the games that you enjoy. Mm-hmm. But like the original Super Mario Brothers, yeah. I don't let her play because she gets too mad.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up on in my delighting me section later. Hold on. I must have triggered the lady in the tube there for a second. But I was going to talk about this later in my delighting me section, but I bought one of these backbones for my the little controller for the phone.
Yeah, I've had one for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But the problem is mine is the lightning adapter in it, so I can't use it anymore.
Yeah, this one's got the USB-C. But I have Delta for my iPhone.
Oh, the emulator. Yeah,
the emulator. Mm-hmm. I'm also looking. I have Gamma as well, which is for PlayStation games. That I haven't found any ROMs that work real well on it yet. But I was going to play around with that. But that thing's been fun to go back and play retro games. And as a matter of fact, when we were on vacation here recently, I played a lot of Super Mario Brothers with that. So, because it worked really nice. So, anyway, and some Contra. And
oh gosh, wow.
Contra is awful.
A blast from the past.
It's so hard. I couldn't even get past the first level. It's so hard. If you could have any video game character as your best friend, who would it be?
Any video game character is my best friend. I don't know. Definitely not Yoshi. Oh, gosh. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. Just because he's super cool.
Yeah, I couldn't put up with the smoking, though.
Yeah. Anyway.
Jigglypuff. That's my answer.
Jigglypuff. Pikachu wouldn't be a bad choice. Who's your favorite villain from a game?
Favorite villain? Darth Vader.
It's a good villain.
Yeah, definitely not Shredder. That dude stinks.
You suck.
Oh, that would be a good best friend. Would be the rat from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There you go.
Can't remember what his name is, but you know.
Best. Who would I want to? Who's my favorite villain in a game? I don't know. I guess I'll just have to agree with you with Darth Vader. I can't think of a better one. Definitely not Bowser. I don't know what's up with that guy.
He just loves Peach, that's all.
What's one game you've played over and over and beat every time?
FIFA.
I would say the original Super Mario Land on Game Boy. I would speedrun that when I was a kid because I didn't have a lot of games to play. I would play that over and over and over. It took me 40 minutes to play the whole game.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Have you ever received a gaming console for Christmas? Yes, the aforementioned Game Boy.
Yeah, I got a Super Nintendo. And then later I got an N64. I had a Sega Genesis at one point, but I don't think that was a Christmas gift. Yeah.
How many video game consoles do you have in your house right now? This is not one of the questions on here.
I have a PS4 and a Switch.
Okay. So I have a Switch. I have my PS5 sitting next to me here, which we're going to talk about in a little while. Behind me on the shelf down here, I have a GameCube, which I actually inherited that from my brother-in-law. I didn't buy that. And it's hard to see because they're black, but there's that one right there is an Xbox 360. And then there's a PS2 right next to it. It's kind of hard to see them, but they're sitting on the shelf back here collecting dust. And I have a Game Boy back here somewhere, too. Just unplugged my headphones. Hopefully you didn't say anything really smart.
No, just admiring the nostalgia.
Yeah. So
you remember the Sega Dreamcast?
I do remember the Dreamcast. I've never played
that
it.
wild controller.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends in middle school had one. We played the original NBA 2K because that's when it came out. It was 2000.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think we've been playing this long enough. Why don't we wrap it up? And we'll talk about what's delighting us this week. Are you ready for this?
Oh, sure.
All right. What's delighting you today, Cam?
The trees are turning, and it's beautiful, and the weather is turning, and it's beautiful. And I had a bonfire the other night, and it was beautiful. Yeah. I even have like the screenshot I have, or my wallpaper on my computer, my monitor is trees of this season, you know, and I live like 2 blocks away from the river, and both sides of the river have been really well protected with just natural green space, and the trees are giant and old, and it's so fun, you know, just to drive through it or then to go on the trails and just enjoy how pretty. I mean, the fall is my favorite, hands down.
Yeah.
And so this time of year is, it's special for me. I like it. I can wear hoodies now. Yep. It's great.
This is my favorite month of the year.
October.
Yep. Not just because my birthday is in October, but it's my favorite month of the year for all the reasons you just said. So
yeah, I'm digging it.
Yeah, when we were up in Door County this last weekend in Wisconsin, those of you who may not know where Door County is, if you look at Wisconsin, much like Michigan, it looks a little bit oven-mittish or handish. In Wisconsin, the thumb would be Door County. So it's that peninsula that kind of comes off next to Green Bay. And
up north, yeah.
That's where we were this last weekend, and we drove into town or onto the peninsula, and all the trees were green. When we left, most of them were already turned. It literally happened within a few days when we were there, and nice. And it was just gorgeous. So, very good. Is that all you have, sir?
Yeah, I'm a simple man sometimes, Mitch.
All right. What's delighting me today is that I finally was able to go get my PS5, and I have opinions. I really enjoy this thing. I haven't had a PlayStation console since the PlayStation 2.
Okay.
I did have the Xbox 360 just after that. So I took a foray into the Xbox games because I really wanted to play some of their exclusives and stuff like that. But when it came right down to it, I like the exclusives on the PlayStation a little bit better. And one of those is Gran Turismo, which I absolutely love playing. It's such a cool game. That was one of the first games that I bought for it. So I have that here. And I did
Gran Turismo 7.
Gran Turismo 7.
I remember the original one.
Mm-hmm. And then I bought my first of the Star Wars games that I want to play. I got it for $20. So Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So I've started playing that. That's the first game of the Cal Kestis games. So the next one is the Survivor. I don't know that there is a third one out, or if they're even making a third one. But I'm started playing through that last night. But I'm enjoying this thoroughly. It has been a fun thing to play, or fun thing to have. For those of you who may not know anything about the controller is super cool. I was shocked when I picked up this controller and started playing some of these games, how advanced these controllers are now. So again, the last system I played on was the PlayStation 2. So that that introduced the 2 analog sticks, the 4 buttons and the directional pad, and then the triggers. So they played a lot of games the same way that, this plays a lot of the games the same way. The controller itself hasn't changed all that much since then, with the exception that it's added a touchscreen on the front, in the middle, and that's a button as well. So a lot of games use that for, like, Jedi Fallen Order uses it for pulling up the map, the holo map. There's a couple other games that use that for different things. But the thing that really shocked me and that was really exciting is I'm playing Gran Turismo, and I'm feeling like the triggers that you use for the gas and the brake are pressure sensitive. So you can press it down halfway and it knows you're only pressing it down halfway. And so then it speeds up slower, or if you want to jam down the gas, you push it all the way down. But it actually has tactile feel to it as well. So you can feel it. You can feel the road. You can feel the different things. When you're braking and you're skidding a little bit, there's a little bit of vibration in the trigger. Some of the games that I played, I have Titanfall 2 that I started playing. The triggers feel like triggers. There's resistance in the trigger button. So it feels like you're pulling a trigger of a gun, and you feel that feedback. And I'm blown away by how much feedback and how much this controller like immerses you in the game. Not to mention there's a microphone on it. There's a speaker on it. So it actually, like, some of the games will take advantage of the fact that there's a little speaker down here, and you'll hear stuff that's close to you in that speaker instead of in your stereo speakers. So I think I was playing the Sackboy game that you could hear a lot of the stuff that he was collecting. You'd hear it in the controller instead of in the speakers. Similar, you think about it like Super Mario Brothers when you're collecting coins. You hear the coins coming through, the coin dinging coming through your controller instead of through the speakers, because you're closer to it. It's just kind of a cool little touch.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So hold on just a second. All right, my wife's going back to work, so she just wanted to say goodbye. So. All right. There's probably a lot more that I can say about it, but it's just been a lot of fun playing games. Now, part of the reason that I bought the Backbone is that there is an app for the iPhone that allows you to use remote play. So you can play your PlayStation 5 through remote play and actually play it on your phone. And with the Backbone, it gives me the ability to, have all the buttons and everything that I need. And they sell a separate the PlayStation Portal for the same purpose. But it's just kind of cool that for $100 I was able to get a Backbone, and I can play the games while I'm sitting downstairs in the chair with the TV on, just sit and play a game. Or the other night I was just customizing one of my cars in Gran Turismo, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, pretty excited about that. I'm enjoying it immensely. So
sorry, my AC just turned on.
No problem.
Turn it off. I didn't even know it was on.
Yeah. So,
well, I'm glad that you're enjoying the PlayStation 5, Mitch. It would be sad if you had spent that much money and hated it.
Yeah. So, but it's good. All right. Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about on the show today? I don't think there's much else to talk about. All right. Well, we've gone long enough, so we can probably wrap her up for today. If you want to find out more about us, you can head up to innerdialogue.show. And if you want to know more about what I'm doing, mitchcraig.online. And Cam, where can people find you?
CamBrennan.com.
All right. And that'll about wrap it up for us today. Cam, thank you for joining me on the kind of a off-schedule day. And
Yeah, happy to.
We'll see you guys back here next time. Later.